Welcome to episode 2 of the personal statement series.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
And this episode will be on the 5 most common mistakes people make when writing their personal statement. The 5 mistakes which you need to avoid to help your personal statement stand out in a good way, be an excellent personal statement, and help you get into the top 5 unis. Obviously, I got into 5 of the UK's top unis:
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Cambridge, Imperial, LSE, UCL, KCL, and I want to help you guys get in. And this is why I'll be offering 2 different personal statement services. The first one, for £19.99, you'll get detailed written feedback. I'll provide you with clear, actionable comments on your structure, your content. Essentially, every single line in your personal statement, I will go through it and I'll point out details, changes to help your personal statement become absolutely incredible and help you stand out as a top tier applicant to any university, even the top universities. And obviously, I know what I'm talking about, man, because I've done it myself and clearly I've been successful and I want to help you guys be successful as well. So that's the first service. And the second service is literally everything in the first service, but also on top of that, a one-to-one video call session where I will be talking through your personal statement directly with you, telling you the changes. And this is going to be a bit more helpful than the first one because I can clearly explain to you in person, not in person, but on call, exactly what you need to change, exactly what you need to do to help your personal statement stand out. And the great thing about this service is if you choose to submit successive drafts, if you choose to submit drafts after that first review for a second review after you've made your changes, which I've suggested, the price will reduce. All the details are in a Google form, which I'll put in the description down below. Make sure you also join my Discord server if you have any questions about the form or anything about your personal statement, really, any advice. Join the Discord server, join the community, make sure you verify yourself on the Discord server, and let's get straight into the video. And now for the first common mistake. The most common one, probably, and the one where if you are able to avoid, if you're able to perfect not being driven into making this mistake, your personal statement will genuinely transform into something incredible. A mistake which I made in my first couple drafts, which luckily I came across someone who helped explain it, which helped me transform my personal statement and got me into these top unis. And that is where you should not be telling the admissions officers everything you've learnt. You should be showing them that you learnt it. You should be showing them your interest. And the best way to help you understand what this common mistake is by giving you an example. Let's say, for example, you have read a book, and this book can be Development as Freedom by Amartya Sen. You've read this book, and what a lot of people do after mentioning that they've read a book is they'll talk about what the book taught them or what they found really interesting in the book. So they'll be like, oh, it was amazing how Sen discussed the ideas of poverty and this and that. Stop. This is the mistake a lot of people do with their personal statement, which makes it really mid. You need to avoid this mistake and you need to ask yourself the following questions whenever you mention a super curricular. And if you're able to answer one of these questions, this is what you should lead the following sentences as after you mentioned the super curricular. And the questions are: how did this super curricular make me feel? What did this super curricular lead me to do? Why did I find this super curricular interesting? And did this super curricular influence me in any way? These are essentially the 4 questions which you want to be asking yourself after you've mentioned the super curricular. And that's what you should be talking about if you're able to answer one of these questions. And if you can't, then find a way to answer it. If it didn't lead you to do anything, do something which you can say it led you to do. For example, it led me to enter this essay competition in which I argued about this. You want to talk about how these supercurriculars affected you as a person. Because I said this in the previous video and I'll say it again. If the admissions officer wants to know what the book talked about, what you learned from the book, they can just read the book themselves and find out. They don't need to read your personal statement. They are looking for what kind of person you are. How driven are you academically? How ambitious are you? And whether you deserve a space on their course at their university or not. And the only way you're going to be able to show this is by highlighting to them how a super curricular you have done affects you as a person and what it leads you to do. Please, please, please show the examiner what you have learnt and why you have learnt it and how interesting it is to you. Don't just tell them what you've learnt. This is not what you should be aiming to do. I just want to quickly mention that if you're still a little bit confused about this first point, then my next episode, episode 3, is going to be a good one where I show you my personal statement and I explain exactly how I did this in my personal statement and what you should be aiming to do and avoid making this mistake. So don't worry too much if you don't understand that. Stay tuned for episode 3. Now, a second common mistake people make when writing their personal statement is they write their draft, they add a couple word changes, couple sentence changes, and that's it. They're ready. No, you need to be getting your personal statement read by a lot of people, as many people as you can. And obviously, don't just make random people read it. Like, you're not going to give it to your 7-year-old brother to read your personal statement. He's not going to help you in any way. But you want to give it to as many teachers as you can. You want to give it to as many friends as you can, which you may have that are going to university. You want to give it to people on LinkedIn. Reach out to people on LinkedIn that are studying the course that you're applying to and drop them a message. Tell them, oh, I'm hoping to apply to this. I noticed you're studying this at this. I was wondering if you were free and had the time to give me some advice on my personal statement. I would really appreciate it. Something like that. You drop about 25, 30 messages to that one. I guarantee 5 people will respond saying, yes, send me your personal statement draft. And they will be able to give you the feedback. Now, bear in mind, most of this feedback will be very general, but its general feedback is still helpful. They won't obviously spend too much time because they're busy as well, studying their course at university, whatever. But they'll read for your personal statement and advise you what kind of way, what kind of path that you should be taking. And general advice can be really helpful. And if this general advice repeats with the people that read for your personal statement, you know that they're onto something. Please keep in mind though, and this is something that I noticed, that not all advice is good advice. For example, one of the teachers in my school read my personal statement and told me that it's not that good. I haven't talked about my A levels. Come on, man. I'm not gonna talk about my A levels, and you guys shouldn't talk about your A levels too much either. But he was completely he had a different viewpoint of the personal statement, saying you should be talking about your A levels. You should be talking about your extracurriculars and what you do outside school and stuff like that. No, I knew that this is not what I wanted my personal statement to do, because the people that helped me were successful and they told me to do this. So I'm going to listen to them. And I made no changes after that. This was one of my final drafts. Didn't make any change, didn't listen to that advice. And I continued. I did what I want and I got all 5 offers. So remember, not all advice is good advice. Don't be put off. Mistake number 3, lack of depth. A lot of people will mention a lot of super-curriculars, but will have no depth following the super-curricular. They'll have no depth in showing how the super-curricular answered those 4 questions I previously talked about. And this is not going to help the admissions officer learn about you as a person. Yes, they'll know you've done a lot of stuff, but they don't really care about how much stuff you've done. They care more about how these things affected you and developed you as a person, which they are more interested in. So stop mentioning lots and lots of super-curriculars and focus on having depth and having a link. In each paragraph, I had 2 super-curriculars, one at the beginning, depth following that, and then a link to my second super-curricular and depth following that as well. So I always had depth following my super-curriculars, and this is what you need to aim for. Stretch from your first super-curricular to your second one with a link, and develop your reasonings, develop your interest, develop and show them why you really deserve a place on this course. And this is what you need to aim to do. So don't Don't cram super-curriculars in just for the sake of it to make it seem like you've done so much. This is a common mistake that you need to avoid. And number 4 kind of relates to number 3, but talking about unnecessary stuff. And when I say this, I mean talking about a lot, talking too much about your extracurriculars, talking too much about that you play cricket on Saturdays, too much about that you go swimming, too much about that you enjoy painting, too much about you enjoy baking. Maximum 1 or 2 lines on this, please. I didn't even mention it. And if you really want to, 1 or 2 lines. These top universities are more interested in your academics. They don't care about what you like to do and what you don't like to do. They couldn't care less if you liked to bake or if you like to go swimming. And another thing I want to talk about is work experience. I talked about this in my previous video. Don't mention work experience just for the sake of it. Make sure it actually relates to the course that you are doing, or it's something which a lot of people do in the applications for certain courses. For example, medicine. Work experience is important for that. Work experience, it needs to relate to what you actually have done. Please. Don't unnecessarily eat up your word count, because then you're just leaving less words, less characters for adding depth to your super-curriculars, which is the main thing. And number 5, I think I will really have to urge this one at this point in time, because this is the time where you can avoid making this mistake, and you don't want to make this mistake and only realize close to your deadline. Be unique. A lot of people are not unique, and this is a common mistake. For example, for economics, a lot of people apply to economics related courses or accounting and finance, etc., talking about how they went back to their home country, they saw the poverty there, they saw the economic differences, which sparked their interest. Stop. Everyone and their mum has used this beginning, and I did it as well in my first couple drafts. I completely changed my personal statement. Do not do this. Be unique and be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Everyone and their mum has used this beginning in economics personal statements. I'm telling you, you will only stand out. I mean, you might stand out based on the rest of your personal statement, but a good way to stand out is by taking a different approach. Be creative, be smart. Don't be too creative, obviously, where it's like, what's a bit random. But be creative. And I did try to be creative in one of my later drafts. I wrote my introduction saying I was interested in economics because of games, and I talked about in-game economies. It wasn't too bad, but I did change that a bit as well later. Just stay tuned for episode 3 to see how I did it. And obviously, just be true to yourself and be unique. Don't mention the same books everyone does. Don't mention the same things everyone does. Don't read personal statements of student room just so that you write it out the same way. Just because they're successful doesn't mean that you'll be successful as well. Read the personal statements. Read personal statements from student room. Use it more as something to look up to as to what kind of quality your personal statement should be, what kind of layout, what kind of things you should be talking about. Don't just take it completely, copy it, slap it in, because you want to be as unique as you can, because this helps you stand out to the admissions officer and will help you get that place. So these are the 5 common mistakes that you need to avoid in your personal statement. And if you do, you will already be in a great position, and your personal statement will already be of great quality if you're avoiding these mistakes. Thank you very much for watching. Obviously, if you're interested, then fill out the form. I'll put it in the description. Join my Discord server. Everything is there as well. The details. You can ask me questions as well. And like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Put my contact details in the description. I want to get monetized. How many times do you want me to say it? I need to get money.